Hello, friends. Happy New Year. Good to see you, Tara. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. If you don't mind, put your camera on. Let's see who's here with us today as we get underway. We usually have a few people join us into the session, but good to see so many friendly faces, friends. Happy New Year to you. Hope you had a great break and you found some time to breathe and just be and enjoy and rejuvenate. And part of today's session is about that, being thankful for that, right? And just taking the time just to breathe and be thankful. So I'm thankful for you all here. And I got to make sure here as I'm thinking about this. Just give me 1 second. I'll make sure we're recording this. I don't think we are. Let me just take a moment here. Oh, we are. Okay. Yes. Double checking. We are. All right. So again, thanks for being here, and let's get into our session today. And feel free to keep your camera on if you like, because it'll be fine. All right. So we are just in the series here, continuing with session 4 now, and this is on the topic of acknowledging the good and expressing gratitude. And it takes some intentionality, right? So I'm going to put this in the chat right now, just a reminder to access resources. If someone doesn't mind just copying that, maybe sometimes people join later, they can't access it, and will be moved on. So someone can just maybe populate that every now and then. That'll just be a kind thing to do for others that join us. So let's get underway. And I just want to start with this, as we do every time. Remember, you're a well. You're a well that people come to because they're thirsty. You know, they thirst for knowledge, they come to you. They thirst for justice, they come to you. They thirst for resolution to some conflict, that maybe just a listening ear, you know, and umpteen other things that they come to, which is all well and good. You're here to serve. Again, but in an era of unprecedented need, the key challenge and question is this, right? Like, how do learning leaders, servant leaders like you all, continue to replenish the well over time so the well doesn't go dry, so that you can continue to serve in a sustainable way and in a very impactful way and meet people's needs? So that's what we're here for. I think always when we come for these self-care sessions is acknowledging we are wells and we need to come back and replenish that intention. And it's a good time right now to just check your mic. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. So if you just want to mind, if you have a question, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just keep the mic down. And thank you. In fact, let me just take a look at this. All right.
Sorry. Yeah, no.
There we go. All right. So, and as we get underway again, remember compassion, resilience, what we're trying to do, self-care, building compassion, resilience. It's really just this idea of a reservoir. So again, working out the idea of a well, it's a reservoir of well-being that you can draw upon difficult days and in difficult situations. As I've shared before, I want to reiterate it again, we have to be intentional about this, because the default mode in these very high need roles that we serve is we, by design otherwise, are going to run dry. So we have to be very intentional about building resilience, knowing what that is, knowing techniques to do that, building this in as disciplines. It just naturally happen that we create margin in our lives for, so we can be all that we can be in these really important roles that we are serving in now. And one other definition of this we've used before, some prefer this one, is resilience. Another way of looking at it is the ability to overcome challenges, right? Of all kinds, and to bounce back stronger, wiser, and more personally powerful. So whatever most grabs your chain, just, focus on that. That's what we're trying to very intentionally do, is to build compassion, resilience, to build in self-care, and to just become better versions of ourselves through this intentionality. So again, I celebrate you all today as we talk about acknowledging the good and expressing gratitude. I'm thankful for you, not just for serving and continuing to do that in the most trying of times, but also because I want to celebrate and be thankful to show gratitude for your intentionality of creating space for attending these, because a lot of familiar faces are coming back session after session. I think that speaks well of you and your long-term willingness to be sustainable in this important work. So we're going to be focusing today, we're kind of turning the corner today. We're kind of about halfway through the series on this issues of acknowledging the good and expressing gratitude. So I don't know if you've heard about this before, but it is so important to tune into the positive. And I don't know that we do that. I think the default mode of our society and our world right now is not to do this, is to find fault, is to gripe, it's to complain, it's to see the bad in ourselves and others. And here's what we know from psychology. According to many psychologists, burnout is simply the impaired ability to experience positive emotion. So what we tune into matters. I'm going to say that one more time. According to many psychologists, burnout is simply the impaired ability to experience positive emotion. Therefore, the interventions that are most effective at reducing burnout, be more resilient, all have to do with improving a person's ability to perceive positive emotions. But our focus determines our reality. So if you're feeling down, it's hard to recognize the data pointing to what's going well, right? We've all been there. I'm in a crappy mood. I can't see the goodness there. You literally won't see it. You won't literally hear it. You won't register that goodness around you in moments like that when you're not tuning into it, when you're overwhelmed by the negativity, by the whatever else is going on, right? That's why we need to take intentional action and build in disciplines. There's that word, build in disciplines of noticing and acknowledging the good already in our lives, even in the most dire of times. And I always provide these slides. That what I just shared is actually in the notes of this slide. So if you ever want to capture this, I know a lot of you, at least some of you have told me you use some of this with your own staff. So just know, again, you can have what I just shared in the notes of that slide, okay? I'm an English teacher by training. John Milton said something very powerful 400 years ago plus, and it's still very true. He said, the mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven. And I think that's incredibly true and timely 400 years later in this modern era. I just see people in the same sort of situations. Again, we all have our unique context, no doubt. But in this idea of whatever we're in now, COVID era, if you will, the mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven. And a lot of what we're going to do today is talking about, I think, this idea of what you're tuning into. Can we build in and kind of work counter culture to be intentional about seeing the good that even in the worst, most trying of times is there and being grateful for it. And in that, we're in a different space when we're in that kind of a mindset and tuning into those sorts of things. So did your morning today start like this at all? Or when was the last time it felt a little bit like this? Because the emotion of gratitude includes awareness of a positive benefit. And, as Chesterton says here in this quote, I would maintain that thanks are the highest form of thought and that gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder. And that's hard to do always. But I think one of the things I'm learning as I get older, my mid 50s now, and I find like when I'm at most peace, when I'm probably my most, the state I want to be in, the one I feel I'm most connecting with people and being most impactful in my purpose, is when I start with a grateful heart. So as simple as this sounds, like really we need to talk about this. I think it's incredibly powerful. As I said, the world of psychology from the previous slide is talking about it. This idea of the emotion of gratitude. It's an emotion. It includes awareness of a positive benefit that has come from an outside source and was not necessarily earned or deserved. That idea of the wonder that comes along with the thankfulness. I don't deserve this, yet here I am. And that's powerful to have that mindset. So just kind of opening yourself up. And I hope that's what we're going to do today, is opening yourself up to some ideas and to the emotion of, if you will, of gratitude, and intentionally expressing it to other benefits to everyone else through that. And that's what we're going to, again, explore in today's session. So open up to that and let's see what comes through the effort. So we're going to visit again something we've been trying to over time, just working. As I shared, this has been a really good set of resources and in a collaboration, as you see here from some of the folks, DPI, Rogers Memorial, the Wise Foundation of Wisconsin. So again, this great toolkit. And so again, there's so much there. I've been trying to intentionally just pull little pieces of it as we go through this series this year. And I'm learning with you. So we're going to do that today around this topic. So again, if you go into the toolkit.org, as you see here, again, we've talked about this in previous sessions. They've even kind of customized it to some some approaches, some topics, some resources, particularly I think really relevant to staying resilient. There's that word again, to build compassion, resilience during COVID. So we're going to talk today about this idea of gratitude, and it's about an 8-minute video, but we're only going to look at, I think, 3 minutes of it. I'm going to catch it in the mode here. And so what we're going to do in this right now is to take a look at, again, the last 3-4 minutes. And as you watch it, let me just kind of have you focus on what you see here around my cursor. So what ideas might best help you infuse more gratitude and its benefits into your life? So again, in the segment today, we're going to start first with how would you do more of it just into your daily living? And then later on, we're going to look at how you might infuse more of it into your actual leadership. But let's just start with you as human being first. So again, as you watch this, what ideas that you learn here or that you might have come across more recently elsewhere help you infuse more gratitude into the benefits and its benefits into your life. So enjoy.
I also wanted to share about gratitude. The science of gratitude is pretty overwhelming, and it's based on that our brains are wired to keep us safe. So we're like, our brains, even before all this, our brains are scanning the world to figure out what we should avoid and what might be a problem. Of course, our brains are on hyper alert right now. And so to counter that, to calm our brains down in order to be able to do what it is we need to do in our days, we can practice gratitude. And what that looks like, and again, the science is pretty cool around this, is that if we set a time of day, and they say it actually works best in the evening, that your brain is more open to kind of take that in and then use that throughout the night when you're asleep, that if we not just think about 3 things we're grateful for, but actually write down 3 things that we're grateful for. And some people say, and add what part you played in that. So you're beginning to develop that sense that I'm grateful for this and I have some ability to add to that. So 3 things you're grateful for, write them down and do that. They say you can just do it for 15 days, and it's amazing the change that happens in our well-being, overall areas of well-being. So maybe we have the time, and certainly we have the need right now to do this little three a day gratitude practice.
Yeah, and it's certainly something within our control to hark back on the earlier content we discussed. And I really try to infuse gratitude throughout my day. Some other ideas aside from the 3 good things practice you mentioned might be to start each day with a grateful heart. I have a sign reminding me of that in my kitchen. Keeping a gratitude journal of some kind and just filling it out as you're so moved to do. Having some moments of appreciation before a meal, or maybe downloading one of the dozens of gratitude apps that exist out there. We can also try to find inspiration in reframing our narratives. This might be through books or poetry or memes online. I know there's one circulating online right now by someone named Brother Richard. He is the author of Lockdown, and he did a reframing of a poem about some of the positive unintended consequences of this time in our life. So I know a couple of the lines are that all over the world, people are starting to slow down and reflect. All over the world, people are looking at their neighbors in a new way. All over the world, people are waking up to a new reality of what really matters. And like Brother Richard, we can really find that gratitude fuels our energy and our optimism. And that's really the definition of compassion resilience. It's our ability to remain optimistic amidst an imperfect world, which we have a lot of opportunities to do right now. So I'd urge you to infuse gratitude practices into your day, however you see fit. And I hope we offered you some ideas here.
So I love that. I love that little video, that little poem they show right there. So again, worth going back and just listening to that for another minute or two, a couple times. At least I found that. It's just beautiful. Finding that silver lining amidst all the challenge. So let's do this here. I asked you to to think about what ideas you might have, they shared several there, but what most connected for you. And so if you would, again, in the poll here, just open up a tab, go to pollev.com/Joe Schrader 530. And then you should be able to start putting, typing in whatever your responses are. It's open-ended answers, short phrases, whatever, and you can do more than one. So what ideas might best help you infuse more gratitude? So if you have 4 ideas, you can put 1, push return, just keep doing that. Yeah, just wonderful ideas coming in. I appreciate the connections. It isn't hard, but it is powerful. And I'm not sure who it's more powerful for. I think it's powerful for every party involved. My last school I was a principal at, the years started flying by. It was over 15 years ago when I was a principal last. And I took a lot of time to write thank yous to people. 15 to 20 years later, I see people that's the thing they talk to me about. Joe, I still have those handwritten notes you gave me. I mean, it's unbelievable. These are people that my age, 50 something. They've been at this for a long time. And they're telling me about, I still have by my computer, this message you wrote to me in 2003. I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me that. And, we're too damn busy to do stuff like that. So again, we talked earlier about the power of it doesn't happen because we're so busy, and then also the intentionality of this. But again, it's about focusing in and about acknowledging the good. And I love these ideas you're doing, and just the number of you're talking about. You can see here. It's something I do. I'm wondering about how often it happens. I'm just kind of curious about what when you heard them talk about this idea of habit or intentionality or discipline. Can I have a couple of people just share, here's something I do, is not just I've done it, but it's actually a discipline, and here's what I'm seeing from it for myself or on others. I'm just curious. We open up the mic for a couple examples. Someone willing to break the ice? Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. One thing I do is I read it in Hacking Leadership, Joe Sanfilippo, Tony Sinanis, it was the 2 appreciation notes before I even open email. I have, they're over there, but they're called awesome slips. And it's something I got from some vendor at some point. I don't know, I have a bajillion of them, but just writing 2 of those a day and putting them in their mailbox, and that's it. I don't record who I keep track of. Maybe I should, I don't know, but it just helps me. If I can't think of 2 things or 2 people that did 2 good things, then I got to be out in the work more, or be more present or whatever it is. So but yeah, it helps. And when I go into classrooms, I do see them hanging up places, and then I'll oh yeah, I did that. I don't know. So but that's helped me. Like I said, not my idea. It's all Joe, the other Joe.
Yeah. And Keith, thanks for sharing that. I mean, I've seen your high impact weekly calendar. You know, I've seen you develop those, and I know what you're talking about. I see it. In fact, I use your example sometimes with people, so I appreciate you bringing that up. This wasn't a plant, but yeah, Keith has it as one of his daily activities, right? I think it's like before 9 o'clock, before 8 o'clock. I think on your day, I see that. So you know, it's front and center for thinking about being intentional about just do this thing as part of my early part of the workday. So I appreciate that, Keith. How about one more? Do we have another example?
I can share a couple things. One of the things I put in the poll is that I've put gratitude as a task on my calendar each week, my school calendar, and it absolutely comes from managing to lead. Not that we're doing a commercial for you, Joe, but that I think it's that idea of keeping the important things in front of you. And I am not naturally good at remembering to thank people and do some of those things. I know I'm very task driven, and I can get, like that feeds and excites me, is chasing that task. But putting that on my calendar helps me remember to do that. And usually what it's been most recently is it's just I send a quick email, usually on a Thursday or Friday, to my whole leadership team, our secondary admin team, just saying, some version of thanks for being you and doing what you do. And I try to throw in a specific something cool that I saw that week or heard. I was out in the buildings, but it's just a reminder that I appreciate them, and it does, like, I have to stop and be thoughtful to do it. So that's the part that's good for me.
Right. So what I love about that, Jennifer, is you are yourself, and part of your gift is your task orientation. So you build, and this effort is all about building relationship as much as anything, probably more than anything else. So you leverage your task orientation to actually do a relationship builder on a regular basis. I love that about it. And that's for a lot of us, we all are some mix of that. I don't know that any person in your roles isn't have a good amount of task orientation, because there's no way you could survive. But, so you leverage that part of yourself and make it a habit, make it a discipline. There's a number of things right early on, like, if you exercise, if you pray, if you eat right, you say, if I invest in that, I know it pays off like 3-4 fold. This is one of those things. I feel like it's a high leverage activity. Like, Keith takes 5 minutes to do this every day. The impact is much more than 5 minutes return for that and what's going on in everything you do. So just appreciate some of the ideas and some of the the efforts you're doing and what you're learning from it. Just keep going here. But, one of the things they mentioned here is this idea of just the benefits of it. So if you're a person like, okay, so tell me why I should make some time for this. I'm just gonna let you look at this again, because this is what we know. These are the things that are well published. They're the benefits. There's a good amount of research around this age-old idea of just being thankful, to have a heart of gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. So if you need some other reasons, there's a whole bunch. There's a slew of them. Almost like, why aren't we doing this more? I know we're busy, but again, the power and the benefits that are like a landslide. And also, and you heard one of the doctors in the previous video clip mention this, what compassion resilience is overall is our ability to remain optimistic amidst an imperfect world. And never doubt that your example is the best lesson. You preach your sermon every day, when necessary, use words, right? So just you being optimistic, you showing people how to have a thankfulness about you in your regular work and just how you are, it will shape a culture. It will help transform lives. It'll help show the way. So your own leadership becomes a distributed circle beyond you, right? So I want to kind of segue into, often in these sessions, I'm trying to show you some of the resources from the Compassion Resilience Toolkit. This is one of those. So they have a number of areas. If you played around, like I kind of do, I'll look into what's in there. So these are actually now specific ideas for how you would actually, build into your leadership, your role, not just your living, but maybe even more like your leadership. And so they talk about some of these things. Like, I don't know how many of you have a kind of a process for appreciating, but all the high impact organizations like the Baldrige criteria for performance excellence, one of the core questions for being an excellent organization is how do you celebrate and reinforce quality and quality service, and high performance. So it's, of course, that means that you appreciate it. You build in and they, if you don't have a process for it, you aren't really doing it as part of the overall part. So like, how do you have a process for it? So, you heard Keith and Jennifer in their own way say they've kind of created over time a sort of individualized process about how they make it not just an event and random. They've actually tried to, routinize it, make it a process, something they do regularly. So that's just, whether you do it personally or your school as a means for this, it actually is a really powerful thing. And, it's something that probably is more necessary and would be more beneficial now than ever because, it's like oxygen for people at any time, but particularly now. So you have a number of things here you can talk about, this idea of assets, kind of being clear about that, a gratitude board. I'm going to click on this slide. You can do this later yourself, but you can see as you go through this, a number of ideas. I love it when they bring in resources from out of the United States because some of the stuff goes, oh, I don't know if that would ever fly in America. Like they're doing like dance offs and stuff, but who knows? I mean, it could be you be you, in your leadership. But thank you note Thursdays, that's an idea. Gratitude strolls, a gratitude board. Here's the one I was saying, dancing, kind of a little dance off sort of thing. Morning gratitude circles, etc. So they have a number of ideas here. Again, just at your leisure, you can just take a moment and again, off this slide here from our deck, and it's just access like I showed you here from this little link here on the slide. So a number of items you can do to help with that. But I want to get us into a little activity here, and a little application, because every time we do this, I want to have you actually apply something and have a takeaway, I guess, as well, besides the experience here or the slides or the resources that maybe you could share if you so choose beyond your own life. So just take a look at this. These are 6 quotes that definitely reflect the themes of today's session. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about one that particularly resonates with you the most. So again, I hope you have one. And this is kind of like for the nonverbal part of your brain today, the artistic side of you maybe, because you're always just hacking away writing stuff or whatever. So here's something to connect with. Here's a little activity. So the idea is you take the quote, you can just do this on paper on your own computer in a minute. Let me just take a moment to explain it and then you'll be off. So you can imagine putting like your quote here. So again, whatever quote from the previous slide, again, if the links are in, the link to the slides is in the chat line, but slide 13 has the quotes. So just pick your favorite one, or if you had a different one, that's fine with me. But you're going to put the idea like as a caption. And then what you're going to ask you to do is just to illustrate something that would represent that. Now, it's not necessarily any of these, but these are some of the images I've shared here, just even through this, that to me all speak to some level of replenishment, gratitude, acknowledging the good, but what would be an image for you as you're thinking about this? So try to capture the essence of that quote. Just let your free brain go. And I'm going to take about 6-7 minutes for this. If you have time, do it for a second quote and just have some fun with it as a way to kind of connect with this idea of appreciation, acknowledging the good. I'll be back in about 6 minutes. All right, so how many of you got past stick figures? Anyone get past stick figures? I took some, when I saw again, I didn't create the protocol. I'm just trying to leverage some that I see. I took some comfort in saying, don't get caught up in perfection. Thought, okay, yeah, that's for sure. But I definitely can have some fun with the idea of the nonverbal. Curious, if you put in the chat, which one did you connect with the most? You can just put the number down. I'm just kind of curious what's really connecting for people the most of these 6. A lot of number 4, a little, mix of things. Seen a lot of 4s. So yeah. So are you feeling like you're taking a walk in the rain or just getting wet, right? That's the whole idea. Are we getting somewhere? Are we having a journey here? We're learning from the thing, kind of going back to the the assets mindset of that video where that poem was shared. And, at a time like this, people are slowing down and thinking about what's really most important. At a time like this, people are really thinking about the connections they're making with people or not, that sort of thing. So there's some really powerful lessons in this 9-10 month segment we're in. I hope we're just open to being appreciating that, tuning in. That's a lot of this, right? The intentionality. So as we're looking here to kind of wrap this up today, here's my quote. You may never get over it, but you can get through it. And you flourish by stopping the fixation on what was lost to instead focus on the many gifts already in your midst. That's what I'm trying to focus on. So, that to me resonates. And this would be, if I could draw better, this would be kind of what I'd have. Like it's kind of lurking and scary a little bit, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I just need to keep on moving through it. And I know I'll get through it. I will get through it. And I need it. What I pay attention to, what am I tuning into to really acknowledging the gifts that are here amidst the trial? I'm fine. I'm in a whole different state. So I hope that's, again, an intentionality. I'm convinced, again, when I can just speak my own truth here, and I hope that this will be yours as well. As you can build some of these in as habits, and like you heard in the video, it doesn't take very long. Try it out for 15 days. Can you start like tomorrow? Write a simple thing. Start with appreciation. Start with a grateful heart. Name 3 things. I love the idea. I hadn't thought of doing that, like they say in the video. The idea of doing it at night, because my brain continues to work while I'm sleeping. I'm just kind of like, I want to maybe at nighttime. I saw in the chat line when you said I want to build kind of gratitude into my children's good night, right? I want to build that in and kind of even feed it into your own kids, right? This idea of let the brain just be helping focus on seeing the good in the world, and then where we are, who we are being very different. And because of that, just how our presence can have more impact on so many else around us. So I just find a lot of encouragement here. I find a lot of encouragement with you all being here with in this kind of community of learning today, and continuing the path of just building real health and resilience and self-care into this profession. So just as we've said before, again, I want to end with this idea of we're always this kind of internal struggle of the good and evil, like the Cherokee parable of the wolf, the 2 wolves talks about. So I think, again, in framing today with this kind of timeless parable from any folklore, really, the battle goes on in all of us, right? The COVID battle, like I can just swim in negativity if I go into default mode. So, to be intentionally looking for the good, to seek and be appreciative, to be almost lost in the wonder of how there can be so much good amidst all this trial still. And it's there all the time if you pay attention to it, because we know that the wolf that we feed is the one that wins. The wolf that we feed is the one that we win. So let's focus on seeing the good. Let's focus on being appreciative for that, and see what comes out of that effort. And as we continue to work through the sessions, I hope that you continue to find ways like today, about how you continue to have different ways of really building resilience, taking care of yourself, feeding the good wolf. And so we're going to next time meet on February 2nd, Groundhog's Day. Don't know how that happened, but that's what it's going to be. And this is one of the biggest problems for most people in our roles, is how we let go. How we let go, particularly of the need to control everything. And how are you doing with that, by the way, right now? With so much here, right? So we're going to talk about some really some clear ways of thinking about what we can control and what we can't, how we let go. And I think it's some of the most powerful learning of the series. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you can join us. Always though, these are recorded sessions. So for some reason, if something was helpful to you today, or you think of someone else who might benefit, again, the recording will come out from Jenna by tomorrow afternoon. Please feel free to share that and pass it on, and encourage someone else to join us maybe on the 2nd as well. But regardless, I'm appreciative for you. I want to acknowledge the good people that you are and the good work you're doing. And I sure wish you a very happy new year and a very productive and healthy one as well. So see you next time. Have a great week and be well, everyone.